Good day. This is the third video on word sums where the features of a parabola is used to solve the problem. The problem reads, during the 2015 Cricket World Cup, South African captain A.B. de Villiers hit the ball with great force. After leaving his bat, the height of the ball above the ground in meters after X seconds is expressed as, and they give us this equation of H of x equals to minus x squared plus 4x. When I get a word sum like this using a parabola, I always sketch the parabola first, in the first quadrant only. From now on until you get to university, if you work with a word problem with any function or graph, you always start by working out the y-intercept first. So I take my equation to get the y-intercept and make x equal to 0. Then you get the answer y equals to 0, and your coordinate will be 0 and 0. You can also see at the back here, there was nothing written here, so you can know already the y-intercept will be 0. The next thing we work out is the x-intercepts. How do we do that? By making y 0. Then you factorize and solve for x. Take out a common factor and solve for x. So x is equal to 0, or x is equal to 4. This 0 is the same as that one there. Then we put this all on the Cartesian plane in the first quadrant. Please remember that in word sums of actual situations like this ball being struck, you do not work in any of the negative quadrants. So you only work in the first quadrant. The next thing we work out is the turning point. A lot of people have trouble with completing the square, so I like this method. You work out the x of the turning point with minus b over 2a, which is the formula. I take the numbers out of here, plug it in here, and I get the answer 2. So the x of the turning point is 2. I substitute the 2 back into this equation. So you write h of 2, and you put the 2 everywhere in the place of x. You work it out, you get your answer is 4. So the final answer of the turning point is x is 2 and y is 4. And that's where I got that number from. Then we have the final sketch in the first quadrant of the whole parabola. We're not going to cross the line here, we're not going to cross the line there, we stop here. The most frequently used method to find the turning point of a parabola in a word sum is to do completion of the square, which we will do now. But I like to use the method we just used. So we will rewrite this equation in this form. Please make sure you know how to complete the square to convert a quadratic equation looking like this to looking like that. It will have this step in it, then this step. This is the final answer. This will then give you the turning point. This minus 2 becomes a plus 2 of your turning point, and that plus 4 is the plus 4. And you're also supposed to know that this expression is then smaller than equal to 4. That's why the parabola is going down from the turning point, but not important for this video now. Having this sketch handy on the side here now, we can now answer the questions that followed on this problem. The first one said, what determined the domain of h of x, so the domain of this graph. So my domain is my x values. My x values is, x is an element from 0 to 4. At 0 seconds, it hit the bat and there was no height. Then all these seconds it was in the air until it hit the ground after 4 seconds. So my domain is x an element of 0 to 4 square brackets, or I can also write it in this way. It's a choice, don't write both, only one, the one that suits you. Remember, the ball will travel through the air and after 4 seconds hit the ground and maybe roll, but the height is then 0 from there. If you take a number like 5 and you substitute it into our equation, you'll get a negative number. And like I said, in a word sum, an actual situation, you can't go under the x-axis. You can't have a negative height. It's either positive or not. This specific question that they said, rewrite the equation in this form, we did earlier in the video. And the answer is here at the bottom. The next question says, sketch the graph of h of x. Clearly show all your significant points. The significant points is your x-intercepts, your y-intercept, and your turning point. And then the proper sketch with your y-axis and your x-axis. And you can write height and time here if you want. The next question said, the graph of h of x is moved horizontally 5 units to the right. Determine the equation of this new graph in this form. So we take the original graph, and if you move a graph 5 units to the right, you do the following. you replace all x values with x minus 5. So you put the x minus 5 in there and x minus 5 in there and simplify this out. I say again, if you move a graph to the right, you replace the x values with x minus 5. Then you times the brackets out and you simplify. Your final answer is y equals to minus x squared plus 14x minus 45. And they did ask us to write it in this form, and it is in that form. Please indicate whether you liked or disliked this video. You can also subscribe to the channel. If there's anything that you're not sure about parabolas, you can send a WhatsApp or a message to this number and explain what troubles you. We will look at it, make a video, and put it on this channel that other people can benefit from your question.